So you know,
It's wonderful, it'll be great.
I just wanted to read it.
So fun. I'm not doing anything next year. I probably never.
Yeah, I would love it. And Bill's wife Linda is their dog Bradley, and she takes pictures with all the kids. Get away from home.
My last.
Oh, really?
4 years ago.
What breed?
For a kid.
Oh, it's little.
I wasn't sitting on the string.
Next time you start with calls. Yeah, comes in, about once a month.
Oh, there's no Colorado dog?
No, so, well, he's got a call, but not.
We can always use this.
Yeah. It's not a good way to travel either.
That would be fun.
Oh, I think I'm all done.
Two more minutes. This is why I don't get her early. House to take care of it. Will be very different. I mean, it's today, it's
Starting in 2019, yeah. 3 months later, lost my grandmother. 2 weeks later, lost my grandmother. 2 years later, lost my stepdad. Found in my grandmother. Almost working with this one.
You have 1 minute.
You do, I was looking at she got, you've got 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm angry one. Yeah, 1 minute, 1 minute. No.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. You know, I'm not gonna discuss that. Continue to not discuss.
Somebody had to say
Everything.
it.
No other way. No matter what's going on. Right, set up them up tomorrow. Yep.
Calling meeting to order at 6 P.M. Please rise as you are able and join us for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, payroll warrants for November 24th, FY 24, and December 1st, FY 24. Open for motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Accounts payable warrants for November 28th, FY 24, and December 5th, FY 24. Open for motion.
So moved.
Second.
I think the motion should be a little more specific than that. Move to
I would love to
approve.
read it, but I was
No,
told
but move to approve. I
several
think
times.
would be
Yeah.
a little more appropriate.
Thank you, Robert through us. Okay, let's go. Do you want me to say that again? I move to approve the accounts payable warrants for November 28th, FY 24, and December 05, FY 24.
Lovely. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Approval of the minutes, November 7th, 2023.
Move to approve the minutes from November 21st, 2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions, discussions, edits?
There's like one minor typo, I think.
Oh, it's important.
It says November 7th, November 21.
11G, just missed the tax abatement.
Oh,
the X on tax.
Oh, yeah, Jackie, on 11G, it says James Andretta moved to approve the tax abatement rather than tax, so just missing an X.
There's a Y on the end of my name.
Oh, and on 11B, we need a Y on the end of Bill's last name. All right, anything else? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor as amended? Motion passes 5-0. We do not have any special presentations or awards. Next we have resignation, Colleen Hendricks, resignation from the Climate Action Team, open for motion.
I move to accept Colleen Hendricks' resignation with regret from the Climate Action Team.
Second.
Then moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
I'm sorry.
Motion passes 5-0. We do not have any public hearings tonight. Public comment, is there anyone who would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda, either online or in person? Going once, anyone online? Going twice? Okay. Moving on. We do not have anything under department head or committee chair, so up to unfinished business. First is Wellman Block update. We heard from their spokeswoman again today, and she said, I've been informed by the contractor that the masonry work is scheduled to begin on either Monday, 12/11, or Tuesday, 12/12. Fingers crossed. Next, 9B, Johnson Controls discussion. Did you want to speak to this? Thanks.
Does anybody, I think I explained it pretty well in my manager's report, but I'm happy to answer questions on it. I don't think this now needs to go out for a townwide vote. There's no appropriations of money and there's no real obligation in the end of this with it. We can walk away from it for nothing, so.
We don't pay the 75,000. Okay,
No, we can get rid of that.
okay. I misunderstood that. Okay. No, it's pretty straightforward.
Any other questions before? No?
If the chairman of the budget committee likes it, we all.
Is that right, Tom?
Absolutely.
All right.
You ready for a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I move to authorize the town manager to enter into the project development agreement with Johnson Controls.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you to everybody who slipped into this, especially the budget committee. All right, 10A, Trails and Wiscasset Committee formulation request. So I'll just start off with, I think this is great in terms of that you all want to do this. I would just say, I don't think it needs to be a town sanctioned committee, just in terms of, all that means is you gotta do some more paperwork. And unless anybody, Joan or anybody from the proposed committee thinks they need agendas and meeting minutes and that sort of thing, I guess I would suggest that you just work with Dwayne.
Just thinking that Dwayne is extremely busy and spread pretty thin, trying to take some stuff off of his shoulders and not exclude him. I don't know.
Yeah.
So doesn't this work fall under the purview of the community center anyway?
It does, but as, you know, as Joan said, you know, they're pretty stretched, they're stretched pretty thin up there right now. And they're just having trouble keeping up with it.
Right,
If volunteers wanna come and work on town property, I don't, I don't see that there's an issue with that as long as they're supervised by, somebody from the town.
Well, that's where I was going with it, is I don't see why they couldn't just be volunteers at the community center and work under Dwayne and just report back to him whatever you find.
But I would like to ask, I mean, there is something to being on an official committee. I think that there's some value for the public to sign up on this committee and to be able not to have to send in minutes. I'm not saying that. Ad hoc committees don't do that, right?
Most of our ad hoc committees, the Parents of the Town Committee doesn't. So if you felt like you wanted to go the committee route with this, you could go the same route with the Parents of the Town Committee, where you never require them to take minutes and do agendas and those things, and then you wonder and say, well, what's the point? But
Well, we have status.
If they don't work under Dwayne and they come to us to do so, we're gonna have to go back to Dwayne anyway.
You've been using a lot of volunteers, sorry.
So just,
Oh, no, let's come. Yeah, you're good.
Dan Sorrell, resident of Wisconsin. As we all know, I mean, the value of property values are enhanced by access to hiking trails. So this is very important, and I've noticed, as I'm sure other people noticed, more and more people using the trails out there over the years. And so by having the trail system out there, we're attracting people here to Wisconsin to visit and to buy property. So it's critical, well, it's important that we do this. And to attract more people to this work, I think an independent committee is something that's of value.
Yeah.
Pam?
yeah, the only other thing that I can see is that it would, that anyone wanting to join the committee would have to come to the board of selectmen to be able to be appointed.
Yeah, I was just trying to make it easier.
Yeah.
I
I was just thinking anyone who wanted to show
It's
up would
sort
be
of-
able to just show up, but.
in some ways, like the Friends of Wiscasset, that's not a town sanctioned committee. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine either way. I don't think it should be one that has agendas, minutes. I mean, I'm assuming you probably wouldn't have like a monthly meeting schedule or something. You're just gonna,
We've been doing monthly, we've been taking minutes,
You want to do that?
we have been, just,
If you're an ad hoc,
yeah,
I am chairman of a little ad hoc committee. We sometimes meet and take minutes, sometimes not, but we work in the Sunken Garden. So I know what you're saying about, there's something to being on an official group. And for you, if you are willing to do minutes, go for it. I like that. We'll have a record of what you did as a result, and the public will be able to see what you're doing. If there wasn't something to it, then we just wouldn't have committees, right? Mm-hmm.
If we find that it's too unwieldy, can we withdraw?
yeah.
Dissolve.
I don't think it has to be all that unwieldy. As I said, the appearance of the town committee is not, I mean, it's an official sanctioned town committee, but there's not a lot of requirements on it. I would suggest, and maybe even should suggest the appearance of the town committee, that they send in either the minutes or the report to the select board so we can just look at it and see what you have been doing. So that you can see that, we've cleaned up 10 miles of trail, and, the selectmen can sit here and say, thank you very much for that, so.
But it will be in a record. In other words,
Right.
100 years from now,
Yes,
historians will say, look at what these people did. I like it. Want to fashion a motion there?
Yep. I move that the select board, sanction the Wiscasset, the Trails in Wiscasset Committee. And appoint Tom Eichler, Mickey Sontag, Sarah Loud, Emily Belhor, Joan Barnes, David Pope, and Dan Sortwell as members.
That's official.
There you go.
Can I amend that as an ad hoc committee?
Yes, ad hoc. Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion?
And I'm not repeating it for Jackie.
Sorry, play it back, yes.
Wait, did we get a second?
Terry.
Terry,
Okay.
Terry.
All right. All right, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you for being willing to do it. It's a lot of trails.
thank you.
All right. Half day, December 21st.
As I put in my report, it's kind of an unusual circumstance this year because Christmas Eve is usually a half a day holiday for town employees, but it falls on a Sunday, which normally would mean they celebrate on Monday, but Monday is the holiday, so I just had a discussion with some of them as to whether they want to bank their 4 hours to use later or go home early on whatever day. So Thursday, the town office would close early. Friday, the public works people would go home early. The consensus seems to be that they'd rather have the time off now than the time off later. So that just means the town office would close early that Thursday.
I move to approve a half day for December 21st as town staff.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Winter parking amendment?
This seems to come up every winter since I've been town manager of a few, not many, but some people with the total winter parking ban, not being able to park on the streets from November 15th to April 15th, especially if the weather hasn't been bad. I've also had a couple of complaints the other way because we don't actually, aren't really good at enforcing it anyways. Police department does not run around and hand out tickets at night for somebody that's parked on the road. I don't know that this is a big deal either way, but what I've discussed with Ted, I think he's here, with Ted, instead of just a blanket ban for 5 months out of the winter, we do what a lot of other towns do, and that is just declare a parking ban around a weather event instead of a blanket thing. So just like school closings, it would be advertised on TV, we'll put it on Facebook, we'll send out a text my gov message for those that are on it, we'll put it on the sound sign or whatever, and Ted can decide when he needs the streets emptied and when he doesn't, instead of just this blanket. Speaking for me personally, and I'm not asking to change this because it's a hardship on me, but I can fit 2 vehicles in my driveway. And if I have company overnight, I don't have a lawn or something for them to pull in on. I just don't have any space because the house takes up all of the space. So I can see where it is a hardship for some people. We do have an ordinance in town that very clearly says that you just can't park on any town way if it interferes with snow removal. And that the police officers are authorized to tow any vehicle that does so. So the whole parking ban thing to me seems a little bit overkill. Again, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. If you don't, if you want to stick with what you have, that's fine, but we seem to think we could tweak it a little bit and maybe not have quite so many issues in the winter time.
And so it would be to, just as, not as a specific ban on the rules, but as needed?
As needed.
As needed.
Based on the weather. If Ted feels like he doesn't want cars on the road, we give people sufficient notice.
Yeah.
There's a parking ban. In fact, you see them advertised on TV all the time during snowstorms. There's a parking ban from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or whatever it needs to
And
be.
that would extend even beyond the snowstorm. If we had a real big one, And,
If he needed to extend those hours, he could do so.
okay,
I like that. And if it helps, especially if it helps Ted, I'm all for it.
But I will work with them too, if they, like you said, they have no place to go and they're here, we can give them a place to go, we can go around them and take care of them, and, they just catch up in my downtown driver, and they've done it before, I've had no problems with people, very little.
I move to approve, I move to amend the winter parking ban as recommended.
Second,
Do second?
I did.
Okay. I'm just doing that for Jackie's sake, to make sure she can hear. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission contract.
Yeah, Mary Ellen was a little behind getting us this year, but we weren't exactly sure how we wanted to frame it with the new, economic development director coming on, so, her and I met with, Aaron and I met with Mary Ellen and, Emily to discuss some of the shifted responsibilities, because some of this is shifted from them to, Aaron, and I think what we come up with is, you know, pared back from what it normally is, though we did add some hours to, item number 2, because hopefully we'll have, a lot of projects coming on with Aaron beating the pavement to bring business in town. And I must say, he's hit the ground running. I'm very pleased.
there a typo on this one, where it says total
Yes.
contract,
There it is.
executive director
Yes.
instead of
Yeah.
director.
There it is.
So you want to move it as amended?
Sure.
I like that.
I move to approve the contract renewal with LCR PC from 12/15/2023 to 06/30/2024 as amended.
Second,
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. All right, and then we have lots of things from Sue. Thank you. So hopefully everybody got a chance to look through, all the different explanations as to
Yeah,
why we're discharging all of these, including the one at the bottom, the folks on the boat headed for the Caribbean.
that was my favorite, my personal favorite.
Yeah.
Mm. How do you avoid?
Yeah, not so nice.
Mhm.
So can we just read the motion as is? We don't have to list all of these account numbers?
Oh, really? I don't have.
No, I
Or do you have to?
actually did it that way, so
Okay.
that I think it's fine.
Okay, so I move to discharge tax collector Sue Anderson from collecting the personal property taxes as listed, and to authorize treasurer Dennis Simmons to remove those taxes from the municipal books.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Sue.
I would just like to say that, you know, Sue put in Herculean efforts to try to collect some of these, particularly, the people that are living on the boat in the Caribbean. And, you know, she did everything that she could. To
Except
try
they don't have
to
anybody to
get
chase
that.
them.
It sticks in my craw that they're getting away with this, but
So we can't put any, we can't,
small claims court is about the only thing you can do with this, and there is a statute of limitations, and
We were right at the cutoff when
They're-
I was able to actually find her and get potentially served. But because where she was, they were not able to physically serve her, and then the statute ran out.
well,
Did the best we could. All right, no assessor's business, town manager's report. Anything to add or any questions? for Dennis?
I did have something to add, and now I can't remember what it was.
did we vote on this?
Did you vote on it?
yeah, we did. I don't know, I don't, yeah.
No, I guess, I don't. I did have something that popped into my head earlier, Dave. I didn't write it down, I can't remember what it was.
Broadband.
No, they're meeting tomorrow, so, Thursday, figure out what next steps we're gonna take and what our options might be. I know they do have some grant money that they either need to spend or send back. But I don't think this was a huge surprise to anyone. They picked some areas that were less served than our area. Although we did think Dresden would probably tip the scales a little bit, but it just didn't seem to, so. So that 183,000 that was appropriated for this was sitting in Payson, and that's where it was staying.
Anything else?
6 in designated fund balance.
No, it was in the Payson account. That was slated to come out of the Payson account.
Oh, okay, so it didn't come out at all.
No,
Okay.
it will stay there.
Before we ask the budget committee to come up, I just wanted to throw out there that, hopefully everybody's been seeing the select board bulletins. I didn't get one out after the last meeting, but we'll get one out in the next few days. They're available, on the town website, as well as I try to post them in multiple places on Facebook. I hope people get to see them, and please pass them around to your neighbors. We try to put updates on things we talked about in the meeting, upcoming things, like, for example, we'll talk about the revised parking ban, that kind of thing. So I hope it's been helpful, the ones we put out there, but please spread the word. All right, invite the budget committee to come on up, so we can review the year-to-date expenses and revenue. And just so people know, this is a meeting that we need to have before, what, January 1st or December 1st? Just to go over expenses and revenue.
Okay, so Dennis has provided the summary. Does everybody have a copy? I think the only other thing we were going to do is I sent a memo. You'd asked for input on things that could improve the budget committee, and I sent an email on that. I've got hard copies to have if you want to review that with any. So perhaps Dennis, you can take us through what we're looking at.
Sure. So I provided you just with a couple of quick spreadsheets. I'm certainly available to answer any specific questions. I could bring a lot more information if I need to. On where we stand now, this is through November 30th, so that's about 41.67% of our budget year. I did highlight some in red, some departments that look like they're over budget at where we stand at this point in the budget year, but in reality, they're just not. A lot of them have large one-time expenses that come out earlier in the year. And as you know, they eventually catch up as the months tick by. You know, animal control, almost $5,500 comes out all at once just for the shelter agreement that we have. Clerk, finance, assessing are all trio payments that are for the town's computerized management system for taxes and accounts payable and payroll and things like that. Those are fairly hefty bills that come out all at once. So all the other lines within these budgets are within budget, so they should catch up as the months go by and come in under budget. A couple of things I pointed out, debt service, which is at almost 48%, but we have paid 50% of our budget of our debt service. And the same with municipal insurance, is slightly over, but we've already paid 50% of the insurance, so they're both within budget. One thing I didn't highlight that I would point out is the public utilities budget, which is quite a bit under budget at almost 30%. That's a result of the streetlight conversion and purchase that we did this year. So I think I reported to you guys earlier, it was a $7,000 savings, I think, in the first quarter, something like that. I don't remember
I remember that you said for a year, it would be 30,000 over.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty close to what we had projected, and again, I thank the budget committee for all the work they did on that. They did on that proposal. A couple of budgets that are way under is, planning and development. That's because we didn't hire Aaron until, a couple of weeks ago, so you'll see that start creeping up. The SRO budget is under a little bit because, we do not take his retirement out of the SRO budget until the end of the year. We do a budget adjustment. It's just easier for bookkeeping purposes. So that's why that's under a little bit. Selectmen budget is under because they have a larger expense in the spring, which is the town reports, printing the town reports. So that should end up the year a little closer than what it is right now. But other than that, everybody's in pretty decent shape. We did carry over some funds this year, so some, which is not included in this. This is the original budget amounts that we approved, not the carryovers that we did in the fall. So some of these budgets that show in the red are even less than, accounting for that, even less than what they are. But what I wanted to show you was, you know, the approved budgets and where we stood on those. So I would point out that the contingency, which looks like it's almost completely spent, you know, we carried almost 40,000 over for that. So we do have more money in contingency than what shows up here. Just in case this main Yankee thing takes off any worse than it already has.
What's the total amount of the carryover? Roughly speaking.
That was around 360,000, I think.
And the total, did you sum this up in terms of where we are year to date?
I didn't on here, but I can look it up. Let me see. I don't have it actually. Year to date, we're 37.44%.
Thank you. Any other questions?
In terms of revenue, you can see that overall, we're running a little ahead of our revenue projections. Parks and Rec revenue is running a little behind last year, but he doesn't collect a whole lot of his money until springtime anyways, because his summer camps and his vacation camps tend to be a bigger draw. And we haven't collected the money yet from the community partners, the 3 towns that are part of that. So as I said during the budget process, the last couple of years, he'd give me his revenue estimate. I've always cut it because I felt it was optimistic. I didn't cut it this year. We'll see.
Okay. Is this percentage where you would have expected it to be, or is it consistent with?
No, we're running a little behind last year at the same time frame. So, like I said, we'll see. Excise tax is running ahead of projections. People are still buying cars. I would think at some point it would have to slow down, but it doesn't seem to. Although we are a little bit behind where we were last year. At the same time point, I think last year we were at 52%, so, I mean 56%, so. State revenue sharing continues to be very strong. You can see that we're quite high over what we had projected. I've always been a little bit leery of going with the state's total revenue projection. I always back it off a little bit anyways. So we projected 650 this year, and we've collected 412,000 already. So we're going to be over pretty well on that. And that just, you know, all this just dumps into the fund balance, which we can then use to help offset taxes or for some other purpose in the future. The miscellaneous income, we dropped that considerably this year because the impact fee from Maine Yankee, which was part of their last tax agreement, has expired. That was $146,000 last year. I will tell you that the reason this is running so far ahead, is that our cash position in town is pretty good right now. So our bank interest is we're collecting, doing really well in bank interest. We have collected so far, $166,000 in interest on our checking account this year, which is way more than what we had anticipated. So that's why that's running, way high. EMS, we just haven't gotten the money from Dresden and Westport yet. When those funds do come in, she will be slightly above the 41% that we're at in the budget year, so she's on target. Transfer station's off a little bit, and I noticed it was cardboard, so are we sitting on cardboard because the price is down, or?
Yeah, I have been. So I do got 2 loads out right now, but we haven't got paid for yet. And we have 2 loads of metal out.
So I expect that will catch up. Ted watches that cardboard price pretty hard, and if it's not good, we have room, we can sit on it for a while, wait for the price to go up, so. We do, so I expect that will catch up to where it should be. Charges for services is off a little bit, which in this case is actually a good thing because tax interest is part of that, and that means that we're not collecting. We don't have as much outstanding property taxes as we've had in the past, so in one respect, that's a good thing. Senior center is doing well. Airport is always difficult because we don't do the fuel sales until the very end of the year, but all of his individual lines are pretty much where they should be. The excise tax just isn't due yet, so that's why that's not there, and we haven't gotten the yearly synergy payment lease in, so he is on track for what we have projected so far. And waterfront's right where it should be, because at this time, we haven't collected the vendor permits for next year or the boat excise tax, which should be around 23,000, so we should probably be pretty close to projection, or a little over projection on waterfront by the end of the year.
Any questions?
Very clear, thank you.
So I think at this point where we are, I think we're on target. Doing well.
Looks good. Anything else? Okay, so the only, go ahead, Brian. No, okay. Only other thing is, when we started this year, Dennis had asked us other things that we can do with the budget committee to improve the effectiveness of the committee, and especially getting more people involved. And we had sent in a consolidated 3 items. I don't know if you want to go through it tonight, but we did print out copies, so you can read that.
I was gonna suggest that, that's great to have it for tonight, and then have a discussion at our next joint meeting.
Was that everything you sent out in the email?
Yeah, but I didn't send the email to anybody.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
I sent it all, so.
You did, yeah. Same information. Okay, nothing else from the budget committee? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I will have a budget schedule out soon.
Send one.
Yeah, I've sent it to them already. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And all the time circulated.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other board business? Yeah.
I do have one thing. And I noted in my manager's report, but some things have transpired since then. We did not get any bids for the Old Ferry Road project, which was somewhat disappointing. There were 6 contractors that took out bid packages, so they had to pay for this material. So we've spent some time since last Thursday and today contacting a few of them to find out why they paid the money to take out the bid package and then didn't bid on them. For two of them, it was timing. If they could do it this winter, they would submit a bid for it. But they can't do it in the summer because there's just so much work going on out there right now that they're all booked. And I think we all know that's kind of the case anyways. And then one local contractor who had a little bit of an issue with the water line design that he felt was overkill, and so he didn't want to bid based on that. We've done this twice. We've gotten one bid in 2 times. And if we don't get moving on this, we're gonna lose some of our funding. The stream crossing grant that I got a couple of years ago, we've already gotten a 1-year extension on. And if we don't spend it by the end of March, we're gonna lose it. That's $125,000. That will then come out of town funds, which I don't wanna have happen. I prefer not to go through this bid process. We have 6 companies that we know are interested in this, and what I'm under the procurement policy, if this is going to cause major disruptions to town operations, or if I can realize some monetary savings, $125,000, I can bypass that process and just negotiate with companies. So I guess what I'm telling you is that unless you tell me otherwise, that's exactly what I intend to do. I intend to negotiate with these 6 companies and come up with a proposal to bring to you, hopefully at the meeting the 19th, to sign and get this done. I've been 3.5 years working on this culvert. And to be quite honest, I'm sick of it.
Is there a reason on our part that we cannot do it in the winter?
No. It will require us to back to the Army Corps to redo our permits. But Jason's already talked to them about that, and that won't be an issue. But I don't want to wait a whole year.
Do you want a motion to authorize you to do so?
You can if you want to. That covers my butt a little bit more. But you know, I think I'm following the policy. But if you want to do that, you go right ahead.
I'd like to do that. I'd like to authorize the town manager to bypass the bid process and negotiate with the companies for the completion of the project.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Anything else? Open for a motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? We are adjourned at 6:40 PM.
So while I didn't make one at a time, I am gonna make y'all sign. One at a time.
Yes.
I love when you start the day.
This one.
Place the day.
But you have the, hang on, let me give you the paper that I got with it. Yeah, I'm gonna represent the one I have, I just have to sign it instead. So here's the letter. I move that the board
Oh, yes, I did, yes. Yeah, I did.
Oh, I know. I read it off a piece of paper. Yeah. All right, I said form the committee for maintenance and upkeep of the trails and appoint